All right, 390 Wagon Master here. So this is a little different from what I normally do on this channel, but I just found this in the shed, and yeah, pretty cool. It's an old school clock radio. Who remembers these, right? I always wanted something like this. I could never afford it. Mine was the old the GE flapper clock, which I'd kill to have now. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to plug it in. This hasn't been on in a long time. In fact, it was just kind of been out of the box. So I blew it off before I brought it in. So let's plug her into power. And let's see what happens to her. Let's lower the old camera here and get a little bit better shot. Okay, so it's plugged in right now. And I'm not seeing much. I didn't see any smoke. That should be going, I believe. Let's see if we got anything here on the back. Oh, brightness. So let's see if that does anything. Ah! Oh, look at that. I just missed it. 421. All right, let me turn the CB down here for a minute. Put my microphone by the radio. All right, so let's try to fire this puppy up. We are in the alarm mode, it looks like, right here. So we have alarm music off and on. So let's just go to on.
The old chestnut that the right thinks the left is wrong, but the left thinks the right is evil. And in their minds, that justifies any action. And unfortunately, that theory has kind of moved to the main.
There we go.
And in fact, to the forefront, and that's the charge they're leading now. So there's no change.
All right, quick. Who formerly ran the counterterrorism operation for the NYPD, their intelligence unit.
Well, okay. So it's finally starting to change bands, or I should say modes, I guess, from FM to AM.
You're on the Sean Hannity Show.
And channel. The writer Leah Sotil in her book about the surge in was about people searching for me.
Okay, so let's see here. Here's what we got. We have AM, FM, and Finn's up there barking. Anyway, we have AM, FM. Here's our tuning dial. Now, generally, these things have killer AM receivers in them. I remember back in the day using an AM clock radio to do AM DX at night when my parents kicked me off of their GE console because of getting too late. But anyway, okay. Well, as you can tell, it needs some cleanup. So we have that issue there with the volume control, which I would expect that. This looks like a job for Deox. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and blow it off with the compressor, take the old brush and clean it up, and we'll tear into it. All right, so you guys may or may not see my big old paint brushes on the bench from time to time, and I was going to take this outside and just blow it off with the compressor, but you're still going to need to do that. But anyway, the old brush cleaned it up really, fairly decently. It'll obviously have to be, soaped down and cleaned and all that, but anyway, I always keep a decent quality brush around. I don't use chip brushes because those are kind of junky, but I like these Molly what the hell is this thing called? It's a nylon polyester. So anyway, everybody needs a couple of these on the bench. I have this big one, and then I've got an 1.5-inch angled one around here too for digging into the corners. But I noticed a couple things, so We found the crusty volume control, the mode switch there. I do believe the backlight works. Yes, the backlight works. That's awesome. That thing's cool. I dig that. The time set switches don't work. And I'm not seeing anything with that. Let's turn this back up. We'll see how dirty this power switch is. That's acceptable. Okay, cool. All right, now we'll open her up. I think I need to take it out and hit it with the compressor lightly. This is why it's important to have a good quality soft brush, because of just like this. Like, you know, you don't want to mess with that. I don't want to mess with that string dial in there, but I want to get down in there and get that dust, so I'm going to have to go find my little 1.5-inch wedgie brush. But it's kind of cool, I think. Should have probably unsoldered the speaker, but real quick, there's what we've got going on. Open air tuning. I used to call these open air caps. I don't know what the proper name for that is, but it's an open air tuning VCO. Why do I want to say Varactor? Anyway, I know that's wrong. That terminology is wrong. Please correct me. I'm sure somebody will. And anyway, when you see radios like this, this is great. This is what you want for AMDXing, nighttime AMDX. On broadcast band, of course. What do I have here? Is that darkness? Let me see here. Is that burnage? I don't really know what's going on right there, so I'll have to check that out. I just opened it, so I'll have to put the camera down here and take a look. Old capacitors, obviously, a little power supply circuit there. That all seems to look pretty good. No, I don't see any heat issues or anything like that. Anyway, on the top side out here, on the component side. But yeah, that's kind of cool, man. Well, what would you guys do with this thing? I guess my game plan is to just kind of clean up all the pots. I'm sure this is going to be fun to get into. Yeah, no, just kidding. But this has a problem here. We got to clean these up here. I'm sure that's going to be easy because there it is right there. There's the pot for it. Never mess with those. I do not mess with those at all. I never spray cleaner in there. I never mess with those at all. And I don't really ever think I ever remember having to do that, quite frankly. But yeah, don't mess with them. And of course, I want to stay out of all that string dial loveliness there, for sure. So game plan, I think, is going to be to clean all this stuff up, you know, with some deox, get all that taken care of. And then I'll see about the cap. Okay, so I'm ready to put it back together. First off, I want to show you what I did for these little push buttons here. I'm going to try to get underneath here if I can. As you will see, this plastic housing or this button assembly is not a switch. It actually takes a piece of metal and pushes against a tab down there. Think of it as like relay contacts. So they all work now. These were kind of finicky. These two were dead. So again, what I do is I just kind of moisten some, I think this was, I want to say this was 2000 grit. Cut a little strip, get in underneath there, and I do both sides. I would get the strip in there, push this down, pull it out, and I would do both sides. I would do the metal side and the actual contactor side on the bottom. Anyway, so that fixed that. This has been cleaned. The AM/FM mode switch has been cleaned. The pot for the volume has been taken care of. And that pot is back here. Oh yeah, this thing's plugged in. I better watch where I put my hands. Anyway, so I decided to not do any capacitors. This thing's been percutooting for several hours. These are cold. The main cap back here over the chip is cold. I'm not going to deal with the tuner caps for a couple of reasons. At this point, I'm going to say that I do not want to undo and mess around with that string dial tuner stuff. This thing works, and it works very well. I don't notice much drift or any drift, but we'll see. I'll run it tonight and see. I'll put it just on the fringe of an AM channel and then just see if it drifts away. But if this was not working, I would probably spend the time to get this out and do this. But I also don't have a service manual for this, so when I put the caps in, I wouldn't know how to make my adjustments. Get the signal generator in there, and then you would... I'm not even sure if this even has test points. One thing I did notice just before I fired the camera up are those solder joints right there, so I might make them pretty. Redo those, but boy, this thing's a nice... it's a really nice little clock radio. So at this point, I think I'm going to do what we used to say in the old car stereo repair business. We're going to put her back together and ship it.
Off to the right shoulder on northbound I-15 at 21st South with backups to 90th South. An accident on eastbound I-80 at the I-15 interchange. A crash in American Forkbound southbound I-15 at 500 East.
Beautiful.
Accident off to the right shoulder on southbound I-15 at...
All right. All modes and functions work. The contactor for the fast clock control here gave me problems, so I just ran that through a couple more times with the Deox and the 2000 grit, and again, that works out really well. I always have one of these laying around. Yeah, oh, 2500 grit. It was 2500. Okay. So I used some material that I had laying around to make up another felt piece, and I just used this and cut it. It's not quite the same, but you can't see down in there anyway. I cleaned up the face, the glass, and yeah, she's collecting a little dust. There were some areas in here that the Awesome wouldn't take off. I don't know, these stains from something. And generally what I do is, take this, put it in the sink, spray it a few times with some Awesome cleaner, and I did have what appeared to possibly be cigarette smoke. However, I didn't see any in here. But anyway, some brown colored water came off of that. And what I do is I take a toothbrush and I go in here to all these lines. But this is like corrosion. I tried to see if I can get that off with a fingernail or something. And I couldn't. I may have been able to get some Ajax, like dip the toothbrush in a little Ajax and go along with the grain here and these little lines here. But I didn't want to mess with the silver paint on those because the on switch is kind of starting to fade just a little bit. But anyway, it's not perfect, but that's okay. All modes and functions work well. It works really good. No scratchiness, no problems. I got me a nice little clock radio now. This thing's kind of cool. I think it's really pretty, actually. There we go. Isn't that cool? Anyway, the camera's, this is freaking out because of the camera, but it looks really super good. I like it. Nice little GE radio for sure. All right, another completed project. Go throw this up on the nightstand. We'll see if it's wifey approved. Anyway, all right, thanks for watching. Please leave questions or comments down below. Cheers.